Yes guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at why I've decided to buy some Premier League cards. And not just any Premier League cards, lads. In-season Premier League cards. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy the video. So, kind of makes sense to start with what happened yesterday for Rewards Day, in which I was lucky enough, lads, to win myself a Luis Diaz as a Tier 2 reward from Champion Europe. Playing Champion Europe isn't something I'm used to doing. Kind of bought a few La Liga cards last week in preparation for this weekend, after the new update and whatever. And we managed to pull a card reward in our first game week of playing that division, which was great. And that card turned out to be a Luis Diaz new season Premier League card, and it kind of just sparked a sort of want, or maybe not even a need, but definitely a want to go and attack the new in-season Premier League competition that we have ongoing right now on Sorare, which I haven't played yet, as in we had the winter competition over the last few weeks. I think that went on for like 10 weeks or something. But now, since the new update, Sorare have decided to tell us that the Premier League in-season competition is going to continue until the end of the season. So on screen now, you can see the different divisions per scarcity, limited, rare, super rare, and unique. I'm going to be hitting the rare scarcity, in which there's $20,000 up for grabs, and they pay out down to 140 place, which gets $50. Now, top place $3,000 is mental, and we've seen card prices, in season Premier League cards rise because of that, and it kind of makes sense, right? This has been out already a week. We've already seen 1 week of this in-season Premier League comp, and we'll go through how that kind of looked as far as scores went. So I'm not joining right at the start of this. I'm not getting in before the rush in that sense. Card prices have risen as far as in-season cards go. If you have a look at Rodri of Man City, 6 days ago, his new card was auctioning for £586, right? Yesterday, that same card auctioned for £1,107, and then later sold the same day, not the exact same card, but, it's still a new in-season card, for just under £1,260. So the card is literally more than doubled in a week, basically, because of this competition. Now, not every card is going to see that type of increase. Most in-season Premier League cards will. So, for example, the older Rodri card, which will look something like this card, will be a little bit less expensive than, of course, the new in-season, because as the requirements for this in-season Premier League competition states, you do need 4 new in-season cards. As it says here, minimum of 4 cards with season bonus from, any of the Premier League clubs, which means, you need, you can use 1 old season card, and of course, you need a minimum of 4 new in-season. So with that in mind, and obviously, luckily sort of falling into that Luis Diaz card yesterday, it was probably about time that I kind of gave this Premier League competition a go. The reason I kind of didn't play it before was because I didn't really have, I didn't really have many Premier League cards. As you can see here, this is, my Premier League gallery. As you can see, I didn't have any new in-season cards prior to winning that Luis Diaz yesterday, apart from Harry Wilson, to be fair, but he has been injured, so he's not much use to me right now. And even when he's fit, he's probably not a starter for Fulham. So, as you can see, the only goalkeeper I owned was Bart Verbruggen. But as we know, with the Bart and Brighton situation, it is a bit of a sticky one. As you can see here, he doesn't frequently play, which is obviously every Sorare manager's nightmare. Specifically in goal, like, you want to nail your goalkeeper. If your goalkeeper doesn't play, as we've seen on the weekend with Alisson sort of being ill, it does just kind of capitulate any chance of you winning anything realistically with your lineups, and same for outfielders as well. I owned him prior to moving to Brighton, so he is of course an old season card. As you can see, I have his Anderlecht card, and I had a Van Hecke to kind of pair with him. I had a bit of a Forest collection from last season. Being a Welsh fan, I kind of had to get in Brennan and Nico. Yeah, and I have a really old Enzo Fernandez. As you can see, I've owned him for over 2 years now. So yeah, that card's dear to my heart as well. And yeah, my footprint in Premier League in general just hasn't been very apparent until yesterday. Things change. Card wins change galleries in that sense. And, winning this Luis Diaz has sort of sparked an interest in me having a go at this in-season Premier League comp. Now, if we have a look at the remaining fixtures for, any Premier League club, let's just have a look at Brighton, because that is where I have decided to purchase a few of my in-season cards. As you can see, Brighton have 14 game weeks left. So effectively, I have 14 shots at trying to win $3,000 in the new in-season Premier League comp on paper, as long as, all the cards are playing, etc., etc. But that is, kind of the gist of it, right? And, the amount I've kind of spent and outlaid on my ticket to play in this game, or to play in the in-season comp, it isn't that expensive, relative to my gallery. So I'm not really outlaying an amount where I'm not comfortable with it. I haven't gone out and bought the Rodris and the, Mo Salahs, etc. I haven't bought out the best of the best, because I'm not expecting, to win, the upper echelon of cash rewards or prizes. I'm kind of happy to kind of win anything with the amount that I've, kind of invested as far as, the new season cards go. So, we won the Luis Diaz. We then went out and bought a Lewis Dunk rare card, new season, for, was it £74 last night, or 13 hours ago. A card that obviously, fits with Verbruggen, new season, which helps. But of course, I had to pair him with Jason Steele, which is, I'm probably getting myself into a situation that I don't want to be a part of, but it's too late now. And we've done it. We've gone out and bought a Jason Steele to kind of handcuff with Bart Verbruggen. Now, the most annoying, frustrating situation about this, goalkeeper, no one knows when they're going to play. I don't even think De Zerbi knows who he's going to play prior to these matches. And obviously that, as a Sorare player, is incredibly frustrating. We do rely on, predictions to kind of forecast, who are we going to play for that weekend. And the Brighton goalkeeper situation all season has been an absolute rotational nightmare, okay? So I am getting myself into a situation where I'm probably not going to get it right 14 out of those 14 game weeks, in the sense of I'm not going to get what goalkeeper is going to play for Brighton right every time. But if I do get it right, hoping, let's say, for example, this weekend they play Sheffield United away. Jason Steele played the last game. He didn't play the game before that. So, I'd bet money on Jason Steele probably playing this next game. Apparently he played pretty well against Tottenham despite losing. The problem is as well, there's not much of a pattern to follow. Sometimes, with rotational players, specifically outfielders, you can kind of forecast when they're not going to play, when they're going to get dropped, etc., etc. But with the goalkeeper situation at Brighton, it's been an absolute nightmare. It's as simple as that. But the amount I paid for him, I think I got him off Basel Bot for £89, and Juan Miranda, who I paid £20 for yesterday, actually. But I ended up cancelling an under-23 midweek lineup because that lineup was dead. So he was dead to me. I didn't really need his services in that midweek. And yeah, I moved him on into this Jason Steele. Now, the cheapest part of this in-season Premier League ticket was the Will Hughes midfielder card that I've purchased. Now, like I said already, lads, I'm not expecting to win the upper echelon of cash rewards by any stretch of the imagination. This Will Hughes has given me a ticket into this in-season Premier League comp, and even if I win the bottom reward, which is $50 2 or 3 times, I've almost covered, the whole outlay of, the 3 in-season Premier League cards I've bought in him, Steele, and Dunk. Look, last game he played against Chelsea, got a 27 AA. He's kind of been sharing some set pieces. Now that Eze and Elise are injured right now for the foreseeable. So bringing him in, he's just a bit of a stopgap for now. Of course, I might look into, purchasing a better midfielder at some point. But right now, I've managed to get a ticket into this Premier League competition, definitely for this weekend, with buying one Lewis Dunk, a Jason Steele, and a Will Hughes. I already own the Bart Verbruggen, obviously old card. I won the Luis Diaz yesterday. And it's got me into a situation where it's just given me another lineup that I can cheer for the weekend. And, having a very condensed gallery, as I do, specifically playing under 23s, I'm now moving into La Liga a little bit. The Premier League competition for the foreseeable is going to be something quite interesting for myself to get into, because it just gives my gallery another chance to go earn some cash. And, with the whole threshold situation that's in the reduction of that, and the whole target situation, it is going to become a lot harder to win cash on Sorare for now. Outside of the threshold, we've obviously got the in-season comp, and of course the other chance to win cash on this game is podiums. And of course I am not reaching the podiums of these competitions most weekends. So yeah, it's a situation where I've managed to kind of get myself a ticket into this in-season Premier League comp for a price point to where even if I don't win anything for those 14 game weeks and those prices of the new season cards drop because this in-season Premier League competition has expired, I'm in a situation where, I can use those Premier League cards next year in the classic competition as old cards. They're not going to be worthless, after this in-season competition. But, of course, there's a word of warning. Prices right now for in-season Premier League cards are quite high. Like, if you're in a situation where you don't want to play the in-season comp, but you have a couple of cards, you could be in a good situation where you might want to just cash in on those cards and buy the old season. And, if you're not going to use the in-season-ness of that card, then it could be a good indication for you to potentially sell those cards. Again, it all depends on your gallery, your wants and needs, etc. Going over to how this looked last week in the first round of the in-season Premier League comp, there were 722 entrants, and we can see on Sorare that they are rewarding down to 140th position. So you're looking at like 1 in 5 players are going to win some cash, Ethereum, etc. Right? Obviously, a lot of these lineups down here are dud lineups. Like, they're not really going to challenge for much. I would say until we're getting into like maybe the 300s as far as like what a team scored. Now, don't get me wrong, DMPs happen every weekend. Like, Alisson not playing was a big shock to everyone. Arsenal scoring incredibly well kind of probably elevated the scores required this weekend to find yourself in the higher reward positions in this competition. If we look at, how many lineups scored above 300, let's say 325 lineups scored above 300. And I know that's not winning you any cash in that sense. The minimum for cash was, I think, 360. Right, yeah, 363 was the amount. But that's interesting. It only paid to 125 positions last weekend, and now it's 140. So potentially there, from what I'm understanding, maybe the prize pool increases with how much more supply week on week the Premier League in-season cards have, if that makes sense. Like, last week there would have been less in-season cards on the platform, Premier League card-wise, than there is now for this upcoming weekend. So that is something to keep an eye on. And it's something that I do feel like a team that I could get together with, a Jason Steele in goal, let's say, Van Hecke in defense as my old season card, Will Hughes in midfield, Luis Diaz up front, and then our new season dunk, probably going and captain Van Hecke. So we've got a Brighton defensive stack against Sheffield United, away from home. All my cards are away from home, actually, which is not something I love to see. It's just how the fixtures have fallen. Will Hughes is away to Everton on Monday night, and Luis Diaz is away to Brentford, which for me is a good matchup. The Will Hughes one, obviously, is the weak link at 13 quid, lads. I couldn't say no, unfortunately. So, yeah, that is kind of my thoughts on the Premier League comp for my gallery specifically. I kind of explained to you guys, if you're in a situation where you only have a couple of cards and you're not interested in playing it, it could be a good situation where you offload those new in-season cards, scalp the difference between an old season and a new season of the Premier League card you own, and keep the difference. You could have a new season Haaland, let's say, you sell it, buy the old season, keep the difference. Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's not a strategy that I think every gallery should deploy. But in my situation where I was quite condensed in one area of this game, i.e. under 23s, the fact that I'm kind of branching out now in preparation for March and August, etc. I think it kind of just makes sense for myself. Some of you guys might be way more prepared and you might just have Premier League galleries as it is, and it kind of makes sense for you to keep doing so. And one thing I haven't mentioned, to be fair, you can have multiple entries into this in-season comp. You can have 3 entries, technically. Now, I'm definitely not going out and buying more Premier League cards to do that, because that will cost me an arm and a leg, and I do not have the funds to do that. But I'm happy with the budget that I've kind of set aside to get my ticket for this weekend's in-season Premier League comp. I'm excited for it. And, I hope obviously it yields instantly. That's not always the case. We can't always be as lucky as we were in Champion Europe like this last weekend, where we managed to win that Luis Diaz. Let me know what you think, lads. Let me know in the comment section if you've deployed a similar strategy. Let me know if you've sold off your in-season cards because you don't want to play the tournament and you're looking to scalp and bring in the old season card. Let me know your thoughts, lads, in the comment section. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I shall see you guys in the next one.